Much for joining us tonight. My name is Dani and our website is DaniJohnson.com. We are here completely committed to helping you not only survive what is going on right now in this crazy world, but to thrive. What if it's possible to win and win big during the craziest time ever in history? Certainly the craziest time ever in the history of your life and my life. What if you actually could? What if this time of crazy, ridiculous political nonsense and crazy, unprecedented, that word makes me sound like I went to college or something. I didn't. But unprecedented, which means what? What does that mean? You know what I'm saying? Times that have never existed. At least in our lifetime. Riots in all these beautiful cities in which we live in, this country we live in. Here, the month of July, the month of freedom, so to speak, and yet the world, the current country and the climate is fear, afraid of the wrong, person getting elected into office, whoever the wrong person is, right? And that's up to the beholder, right? Afraid of going into a city because of riots that could be busting out. Afraid of going to the store because I'm afraid that, I might get the virus, or I'm afraid that somebody I know might get the virus, right? This is the world that we're living in right now. Afraid of losing the job, afraid of not being able to grow a business, afraid of what people might think if I fail in my business. Do you understand what I'm saying? All of this craziness. I mean, it's absolutely nuts what's taking place right now. And we are committed to helping you thrive, even though the times look like die. We want you to thrive. We want to help you thrive. We want to equip you to thrive. And you might be asking yourself, who the heck are you that you would even think that you could help me thrive during a time like this? Because, listen up, friend. Bottom line is that my name is Dani Johnson, and prior to getting started in the line of work that I've been doing for 32 years, I've been a businesswoman for 32 years. I first started in business at the age of 19. I've had ridiculous failures in business, and I've also had ridiculous levels of success that I should have never, ever, ever have been able to encounter. And we have used our business to help other people also achieve things that they could never have done without the secrets, without the strategies, without the exact same formulas and recipes in which we have used to become successful. If they had not encountered those exact same recipes and strategies and methods, as well as skill sets, they would have never become what they had become. We've been doing this for a very, very, very long time. On the website, DaniJohnson.com. That's one N and an I. I was a homeless woman at the age of 21. I grew up in a violently abusive, drug-infested home where I was also molested. In fact, the first time I was molested was by some stranger out in an alley. I was 3 years old. I moved out of the house at 16 because I was done being molested, and I was in a very hopeless situation. I was done being hopeless. And there's something powerful that happens when you're done and when you make a new decision, and you have to have a plan. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, is how do I have a professional plan of action as I look in this completely uncertain world, and there's no guarantee of anything happening, or there is a guarantee of things not going right. There is no guarantee of things going right. How do I plan ahead? How do I prepare myself for what is to come? Well, first of all, what is to come? No one knows. No one knew 4 years ago and 4 years before that and all the political stuff, right? There's been political nightmares that have been happening since as long as I've been on the planet, and I'm pretty sure that they've been going on even way before that. If we were to look at history for thousands of years, we'd probably see political nightmares and or monarchy nightmares, right? I mean, bottom line is that this, sadly, life doesn't always go the way that we want it to. And I will say that there are certain seasons where things are ever so much more highlighted, that it's really bad, and we happen to be in one of those seasons. But I was a homeless woman when I was 21 years old, and that was after I actually started in business. That was actually after I actually had a little bit of success. And from that success, I made some really stupid choices. Met and married a guy I knew for 7 days, resulting in a disaster and $35,000 in debt, $2.03 to my name, and 50 pounds overweight. That was probably the worst of it, not to mention completely suicidal. Started a business from the trunk of my car in a payphone booth and made $2,000 the first 10 hours in 4 days. Profit, $2,000 in profit. I generated $4,000 worth of revenue, but $2,000 of it was profit for me. $6,500 the next month, over 10 grand the next month. By March, I was making over 14 grand. By October, my income was over $80,000 in a month. All on a part-time basis. I learned the secrets of time. I learned the secret of having a plan. I learned the skill sets of being able to work and develop people and how to develop leadership. I learned how to generate sales very, very quickly. And because of those particular skills, I made $250,000 the first year. And by the end of my second year, I had made my first million. This all happened by the time I was 23 years of age. I was a part of every bad statistic. I did not go to college. I actually dropped out of high school because I found out I was pregnant my 4th day into my senior year. I was that person who, again, grew up in a drug environment. I actually experimented with drugs. I was every wrong statistic. The teen pregnancy, my mother was a teen pregnancy. Drugs, welfare recipients, do you understand? I was a part of every wrong statistic, and I should have never been able to make that first million by the time I was 23. Have made tens of millions of dollars since then. We live a very frugal life. With the money, our family has taken care of millions of people around the world. In fact, today, I take no salary from our business. Today, we use the profits of our business that obviously gets distributed amongst the staff, and of course the IRS, who takes way too much, and of course there's all the expenses, but the rest ends up going to a storehouse to take care of people and taking care of the poor. We built 2,000 homes for the extreme poor. We have fed hundreds of thousands of orphans all over the world. We have freed thousands and thousands of kids from the sex trade. In fact, we just finished building a ranch right here in Texas for kids who have been freed from the sex trade. Not the adults, but kids who are there against their own will. Not saying that adults are not in the sex trade against their own will, but a child who's been sold by their own parent into the sex trade, that's a completely different story. So we are still doing great things in this climate. Yes, even though there's a disaster out there, even though the weather, if you will, is nothing but hurricane season, along with earthquakes and tsunamis and twisters, it seems like every day in the news, there's just more debilitating, horrifying, fearful, terrible news that's being fished to us every single day. There are still people doing good things. And that people is a community that's right here at DaniJohnson.com, blown away by not only the staff with DaniJohnson.com, but the clients, you who are watching, who may choose to engage with us, or you may choose to stay on the same path that you're on. But I can tell you that as a professional business person and as a person who loves my husband and our 5 children and all of our grandchildren, who loves my country, who loves my extended family and loves our clients, I'm here to tell you that there is not a better community to be a part of people who are doing amazing things out there. Things that churches should be doing and are not doing. Things that a government should be doing and are not doing. We are actually doing it. And we're doing it as a team, as a community, a people who are making a difference in the world when other people are sticking their head in the sand, crying the blues, or pressing play on Netflix again for the 100th hour. Rather than doing that, these people are making a difference and changing the world. So anyway, so let's talk about this, because right now with so much uncertainty, right? I want to talk to you about having a plan and the importance of having a plan and preparing yourself for what is ahead. You see, we can see the weathercast, right? The forecast. We can see the forecast, what's coming up ahead. Well, if there were riots starting, in the spring, right? And most of this is politically generated, there's probably a good chance that, there could be some more of those riots taking place. And if we had all of this crazy stuff happen in the winter and spring months with this massive health crisis, what do we have coming up? Usually in the fall is also flu season again. Well, this thing has not really slowed down at all. So we have to go, okay, things are probably not going to go back to normal. And by the way, if you go back to our website, to the very first webinars that I started to do, as well as on our Facebook page, Dani Johnson Live, and that's Dani Johnson Live, on that, I started to tell people, same with my husband. My husband actually was doing a tremendous amount of videos helping people, both of us volunteering to help people, to see them to succeed. I was actually on my way to retiring from my business. And when all of this hit, I'm like, how can we abandon people now when we know exactly how to fight our way out of a crisis? We know we can help other people fight themselves out of a crisis, which is why we're doing this webinar right now. And we do it every 2 weeks. I'm not going to guarantee you that in the month of August that we'll keep doing it, but I can guarantee you that through the month of July, we will be here every other Thursday. And you should go back and watch all the other webinars that we've done, because we've been helping people twice a month for free on how to be able to move yourself through this crazy land in which we call home right now. So I want to talk to you about a professional plan of action, because there's the amateur's plan of action and there's a professional's plan of action. Which plan are you working? You see, the amateur plan of action has a financial amateur plan. The amateur also has a plan of action with time. The amateur has a plan of action for their family, for their physical body. There's an amateur plan of action and there is the professional plan of action. Now, if I were to say that I always follow the professional plan of action, I would be lying to you. Have I fallen off of the professional plan of action from time to time? Abso-stinkin-lutely, I have fallen off the professional plan of action. And why? Because whenever we get comfortable, we lean towards the amateur plan of action, which is what? Pretty much there is no plan. The amateur plan of action is winging it at work, winging it in our finances, winging it in our health, winging it in our relationships at home with our family, our spouse, our kids. Whenever we wing it because we're comfortable, that's when things start to fall apart. But when we put together, when things fall apart, that's where we're like, I need a plan that's going to work. I need a plan that's going to work, right? Come on, you know, whenever you and I have gained too much weight, which I've done several times in my life. Fortunately, I have used the accountability of the clothes in my closet as my line. I'm not going past this line, and I've only allowed one size in my closet. So it's just about, you know, how I fit into that size. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, there's times when that size is very loose, and there are times when there's stuff hanging over that size, meaning the jeans. There's things that's hanging over, and there's times where my stomach is touching my shirt, and there's times where my stomach is concave. But the bottom line is that my professional plan, as far as my physical size has been this size of that's in my closet. I refuse to replace what's in my closet. So that's kind of been accountability, if you will. And so I want to show you the difference between an amateur plan and a professional plan, and I want you to be prepared for what's ahead, because we can see, right, as we look at the winter, you know, the forecast that is ahead, we see that we have an election coming, and what a disaster that's going to be. We know it. We know what it looks like. Both candidates are promising money, as they always do. And then there are the people that go, I want money. And those are the people that then vote, you know, and say, yes, the one that's going to promise me what I want, I'm going to vote that person in. This game's been going on since the beginning of time. Sadly, I mean, like Rome did this. And here we are, the United States of America, completely duplicating what Rome did. And so bottom line is that we know that there's going to be uncertainty in the markets. What do I mean by that? You know, in the stock market, in the housing market, there's going to be uncertainty. There's going to be uncertainty whether or not people are actually going to be starting businesses. Obviously, in this kind of climate, people are like holding back. So already in an election year, people are already uncertain. And when they're uncertain, they're afraid. And when they're afraid, they're not going to vote with their dollar in the stock market. They're maybe not voting with their dollar as to whether or not they're going to buy a new house or sell their house. They're maybe not going to vote with their dollar to start a new business and to take some risk. That's normal in an election year, especially the second half of the year. However, there are still people buying houses, and however, there is still people actually making investments in the stock market, and however, there is still people who do start businesses. There really is. So the general populace, they start to freak out, but there are still people buying. There are still people moving. And as a professional understands that, and they're going to move according to that. They're not going to freeze and follow the masses. They're actually going to look for the pockets and places where there are people looking to make purchases or looking to sell something. There's still opportunity, even though the market, as they say, is not is down, or they're not moving. Things are sluggish. We know this already, okay? And then you add the whole COVID-19 thing with it, and then you add the riots thing in with it. So those things are kind of crazy. And so how do you prepare yourself for that? Well, a professional plan of action says, I better make sure that I choose how I'm going to lead. I better make sure that my heart is healthy, that my mind is healthy, and that I take action on healthy things. Let's say it again. I better make sure that I lead in a healthy way. Why? Because the forecast doesn't look good. The forecast doesn't look good. So when the forecast doesn't look good, you gotta make sure to be on your game more than when things look good. So a professional plan of action is going to include, how am I leading? What's the condition of my heart? I'm not talking about the physical one, I'm talking about the emotional one. Condition of my mind, and what actions am I taking every single day? The actions that are creating new habits, and habits that produce results that I want. The amateur plan of action is a plan, but it's the most loosey-goosey plan, and they don't even know what the plan is. The amateur plan of action is not even thinking about how they're leading. They're not even thinking about how people are seeing them or how they're influencing people, what they're influencing people with. The amateur plan of action has no idea what the condition of their heart is. Their heart could be filled with blame. Their heart can be filled with being a victim. What do I mean by that? The victim, who everything always bad happens to me. I got fired from my job because I was the last person on the totem pole. I got fired from my job because I've been misunderstood. I got fired from my job because of the economy. I got fired from my job because of the president. I got fired from my job because, fill in the blank. Any place that you say because and you point the finger at someone else, you're an amateur, bottom line, and a victim. That's a double dose of gross, isn't it? Yeah, you don't want that. The amateur plan for their mind, they have no idea what's going on in their mind. No idea. They have no idea what they're thinking. They have no idea what they're focused on. They're just going with the wind, going with the crowd. What do I mean? The people I'm following on Facebook are saying that fill in the blank. So that's what you believe. All the people on Instagram are saying X. So that's what you're believing. The amateur mind is just being led by whims, whistles, blowing of the wind, whatever's popular, whatever the masses say is good or acceptable, and depending on which side of the masses. So the amateur mind is one that's being manipulated instead of being pointed in the direction that produces fruit that you want. My nose itches. So, the amateur action. Do I even need to talk about that? What's the action of an amateur? Come on. The actions of an amateur are producing habits that make them gain weight. The amateur habits, the actions of the amateur is usually leading them to more discomfort. Think about it. My husband, in his book, I gotta show this to you. I'm so proud of him. First Steps to Wealth. It's totally backwards, isn't it? If you turn it upside down, does it make it easier? No. Okay, First Steps to Wealth. His name is Hans Johnson. Really, really proud of him. He and I have been together since he was 18 years old and I was 22. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I totally did that. Anyway, so in his book, he wrote, which I love his book, and you should get his book. It's at Amazon. You can get it, or at truewealthformula.com. truewealthformula.com. We both grew up poor. We both grew up on welfare. We both grew up in abuse. We both grew up in drug-infested environments, and his mom also was an alcoholic. We both grew up in these kinds of circumstances, and we had a lot that we had to overcome. I'm so proud of all the things that my husband has overcome. I'm so proud of all the things we have overcome. Like, it's shocking, honestly. So in his book, he talks about that there was a time in his life where he would say, okay, you know, I'm just going to turn on the TV and watch it for 30 minutes. You see, I was never a TV watcher. I grew up in a home where the TV was on 24/7. It gave me like crazy anxiety. Like, the television on drives me crazy. It does. It drives me crazy. All that talking, I know it's programming going into my head. It is forming me to think a certain way. It is manipulating me to be something and to think like somebody that I'm not, and I don't want anything to do with it. So I've always, since I started in business 32 years ago, I have been very mindful about what's going to go into my head. I had been suicidal when I was homeless. I had first heard from a millionaire that successful people don't watch TV, that TV makes you dumb. So bottom line is that my husband did not have the same opinion that I had had in these early years when we first got married. So he wanted cable television, and so he got himself some cable television. And he would say to himself, and he wrote this in his book, somewhere about halfway into the book, and he says, you know, I would tell myself, you know, 30 minutes, I just want to unwind. I'm just going to use the TV to unwind for 30 minutes. And then he writes, 3 hours later, I'm not unwound. It's not 30 minutes. It's 3 hours later. He would mostly be watching the news, and it would keep him hooked. Every time they went to a commercial break, he would be hooked. And so he said, 3 hours goes by, and I have not been benefited by what I tuned into. And he said, and we had a series of events that had happened. You probably don't remember this, but I think it was in 2001, Janice Jekin decided to plan a wardrobe malfunction, BS. She planned to show herself completely. And that's when I got up and said, that's it, I'm done. I am not doing this anymore. And so it kind of had been a battle between the two of us of philosophies. And he was like, okay, we're done. And we canceled it, and we haven't had it since. And that was all the way back in 2001. And so anyway, the point is that he had confessed in his book that the television had been robbing him of learning new skills. That the television of just, I'm gonna unwind. Have you ever looked at the things you're using to unwind, to relax? Is it really working? What's the result that it's actually giving you? Now, right off the top of your mouth, especially if you're a smarty pants, you're like, totally, man, I fall asleep to the TV every day. Yeah, but do you understand you've been programmed to be a consumer? You've been programmed to buy. You've been introduced to different products and services. You're like, nah, I skip the commercials. Don't be a fool. The programming is showing you things to buy the entire time you're being programmed. Whatever show it is that you're watching, you're seeing certain clothing, you're seeing certain elements inside of a building or outside or a vehicle, certain technology. You're seeing things that are tantalizing you, planting ideas inside of you, making you want these particular things. That's what TV is all about, is creating an eager desire in you to want things you don't have or don't need. That's what the programming is all about. So, bottom line is, in his book, he talks about if this, that we turned it off and we literally started a business, no joke. And he said, we would have never been able to build this multi-million-dollar successful business had we kept the TV on. So the amateur's plan of action is not even looking at what my habits are and what are my habits producing. What results am I getting from my habits? Do I like them? So here's what I want you to do right now. I don't want you to watch another stinking video where you just, oh, okay, that was cool. No, I want you to write down. Okay, listen, if you're watching this live right now, when this ends in a few minutes, you have a homework assignment. And that homework assignment is to ask yourself, what is the result of my habits? What are my habits? Ask yourself this. Write down what your habits are. What habits do you have? And what result are they producing? Are they creating problems, or are they producing something awesome for you? Are they producing fulfillment? Are they producing freedom? Are they producing security? Are they producing adventure? Because I think that's what every human wants, is security, freedom, adventure, and fulfillment. I think everybody on earth wants that. I think all humans were designed to want that. So I just gave you the amateur's plan of action. Let's talk about the professional's plan of action. You see, the professional plan of action has a certain routine that they put in place. You might be saying, but Dani, I hate routines. You do routines every day. You have routines and habits every day. You get up, maybe you eat breakfast, maybe you don't, maybe you skip it. That's a routine. Maybe you take a shower, maybe you don't. Both of those are a routine. Maybe the first thing you do is you look at your cell phone and check your email. That is a routine. Maybe the first thing you do is get on social media. That is a routine. Maybe the first thing that you do is you go downstairs or wherever in your house. In my house, it's a downstairs, and you make yourself some coffee. Maybe, and that, by the way, is a routine. That is a habit. That is something you do over and over and over again, okay? So maybe you get up and you go to work. Maybe the going to work is in your bedroom. Maybe the going to work is in a room inside your house. Maybe you go to work outside of the house. That is a routine. So now it's looking at your routines and asking yourself, what is this actually producing? So with a professional's plan of action, we're going to look at those 4 categories again. How am I leading? What's the condition of my heart? What does my mind focus on? What action am I taking? And what's the result of my actions? So from a professional standpoint, and to me, the professionals get paid professional money and amateurs don't. Amateur baseball players don't get paid. Professional baseball players do. Professional athletes, professional singers get paid. Amateur singers do not. Professional actors get paid. Amateur actors do not. Do I need to keep going? Right? So that you know the 2 different levels. The level is the marketplace value that you bring. So I decided a long time ago that I was going to be a professional as a mother. I wanted to bring the best that I possibly could to my children. I wanted to feel good about who I was as a mother, and that had nothing to do with trying to keep up with the other mothers that were around me. That meant that my kids did not have violin lessons. That meant that all my kids all at the same time were not in sports. That meant that for me to be able to bring the best possible motherhood possible, that meant that I needed to manage my stress. I needed to make sure of how I was leading my kids. Did they see me like stressed out all the time? Hurry up, we gotta go! Right? Was I screaming at them all the time? And this was not the best mother that I needed to be. And that meant that some things needed to change. I decided that as a wife, I wanted to lead as a wife the best way that I could. And as a wife, I needed to what? I needed to make sure that I looked good for my husband when he came home during the, after a hard days of work. I wanted to make sure that I was not, and again, all I had to do was look around me. And by the way, this is part of another teaching, but kind of look at what the masses are doing and do the exact opposite is something that one of my first mentors had taught. Like, look what everybody else is doing, do the exact opposite, you got a great chance of success. So I would look at what everybody else was doing and see kind of how they were presenting themselves to their husband, the attitudes that they had, the way they were dressing, the way that they were, greasy hair, messy buns, saggy sweats, on their phones all the time. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I don't want anything to do with that because I looked at the masses and no thanks. I'm just not interested in that. So honestly, that to me was my professional plan of action, was to go, okay, how do I want to live this out? How can I be desirable to him? How can I, bring good meals to him and keep my body looking as good as I could possibly can? I've had 5 children. Come on, give me a break. I had 5 children within 12 years. So I did my very best. Like, how can I present my very best in that way? And there's something that happens when you are producing your best, you feel good about yourself. When you're not producing your best, you feel insecure about yourself. When you're not producing your best, you tend to compare yourself to other people. And so when I'm saying I was looking at an example of what other people were doing and I made my decisions, like, that's not what I want to do. That's not comparing myself to other people. I was looking as an example and saying, I'm going to flip that around and do the exact opposite. When I talk about comparing yourself to other people, that's looking at someone who's better than you and simply going, I'm not good enough because I'm not like that. Comparison in that respect makes you jealous. Comparison in that respect causes you to not accept yourself, which then causes you to not be a good leader as a wife, as a mother, as a husband, as a father. But instead, seeing good examples and going, okay, I can get better. I want to do my very best in these particular categories, and really challenging yourself. Am I doing my worst? Am I not even thinking about it? Am I conscious? Because the amateur plan of action is not conscious. Like, you're just unconsciously going through life and being a victim of circumstances. But a professional plan of action is one who is being diligent and preparing themselves for what is to come and planning what they want to be, having a vision of what they want to be, and stepping out to go do that particular thing. And so when it comes to a professional plan of action with work, what is your plan of action? How are you leading at work? What's your heart condition at work? What's your mind state and set at work? What actions do you take at work, and what results are you getting at work? Are they results that you want? I promise you this. If your results are not what you want, there's something wrong with these four things. One of these four things. There's something wrong with one of the four things if you're not getting the results that you want. So what do I mean? If I'm not getting the results that I want, I have to look at, how am I leading? How am I leading? Am I leading, or am I following everybody else's pathetic example? Or am I coming into the environment leading with the right attitude? Am I leading with a smile? Am I leading with my best? How's my heart? Am I mad at my boss? Am I mad at the president? Am I upset about something that happened 5 years ago and I'm still carrying it to work every day? Am I bringing a grudge in against another department again? Do you understand? Am I still carrying crap from my past and just unloading it on the people that I work with every week? How's the condition of my heart? Am I jealous of other people who are doing better? How's the condition of my heart? Am I teachable or am I unteachable? An amateur is unteachable. A professional is teachable. How do you know? Come on, let's look at professional athletes as a perfect example. You do not become a professional athlete by being unteachable. Nope. If you're unteachable and you get into the pros, you ain't there very long. You're out, man. You've got to be teachable. You've got to be coached. But amateurs are unteachable. They think they got it all together. They think that there's no more room for growth. They think that they already know it all and no one can teach them. Okay? So the heart condition, you have got to ask yourself, what's the condition of my heart? Am I jealous? Am I blameful? Am I holding on to grudges? Am I distrusting? Am I judgmental? Am I unaccepting? Do I reject people? Do I reject their ideas? Do I reject who they are? Come on, these are important things. This, by the way, controls how you lead, your heart condition. Mindset. What's your mindset on? Is your mindset on winning, or is your mindset on not losing? There's a big difference between those two. What's your mindset on? Is your mindset on not looking like an idiot? Is your mindset on, an amateur's mindset is on the fact that they think they are an idiot and they can't do anything right, and therefore they don't do anything right? Is your mindset on fear, debilitating fear, making you lose sleep at night? Is your mindset on insecurities, that you have? Is your mindset on the things you can't control in the future? Is that what your mindset is on? Your mindset is going to determine, number 4, your actions. Yes. Your actions are completely determined by what you're focused on. Completely. Your decisions are going to be determined by what your mind is set on. Is your mind set on faith? Real faith takes action. Fake faith is floating in the air and produces nothing. It's hypocritical. It's ridiculous. I think God laughs at all the people who say they have faith but never take action, like, oh, okay. And those are usually also the victims, by the way. So, your action plan is determined by what your mind is set on. And your action plan. So something that my husband also mentioned in his book, and I'm so proud about his book, True Wealth Formula. He talked about that he got addicted to learning. And this is something that he said that I had taught him, myself and another mentor that he had, that he got addicted to learning. You see, successful people are always learning. Always learning. And in his book, he mentioned this, and I was like, this is so powerful, I have to share this. That, for example, right now, there's all of this talk about robotics, that we're going to come into the robotics age. We're out of the information age already, but we'll be coming into the robotics age. And in the robotics age, right, technology is advancing like crazy, and that's something that is standing strong even in the midst of this craziness that we're living in right now. So people who are in the technological world are doing very, very well, and they're going to continue to do very, very well, but they better make sure and have the right mindset. They better make sure and stay coachable. They better make sure they have the right heart set, and they better lead well every day. And leading well is not that difficult. It's you controlling you. So it's not you controlling other people. It's you controlling you. And if you can control you, you become very attractive to other people. When you can't control you, you become somebody that no one wants to follow. So technology is advancing, and there are predictions that it's going to massively hit the transportation industry. Self-driving cars, at some point we're going to see them. In fact, maybe your car almost kind of starts to self-drive in some way, right? There's cameras all over cars today, and we can see some vehicles that actually, part of the way, can drive themselves. But that the transportation industry, those who are truck drivers, perhaps that industry better be preparing, better be thinking about, this industry could get hit really hard. I better figure out what I need to learn to make sure that I'm positioned correctly in the marketplace versus my entire industry being gone. There's only one skill I have, and that skill is going to be useless inside of what? Maybe it's a decade, maybe it's 2 decades, who knows? Bottom line is, he says this, that if I were a truck driver today, I would be using every minute while I was driving truck learning new skills. I'd be spending every minute at every truck stop where I had to take a break, I'd be reading books to increase my skills. I'd be watching videos at a truck stop that would be enhancing my skills. He said, I would be using my time off to do a side hustle to practice my new skills. And when I read that, tears came to my eyes, and I went, that is 100% true about my husband, Hans. Because that's exactly what he would be doing. How do I know? Because history tells me this. You see, we had a massive, massive crisis exactly 20 years ago, March 20 years ago. Exactly 20 years later is this COVID thing, right? So 20 years ago, we had a massive crisis. I had been diagnosed with a fatal heart condition. The side effect of my heart condition is sudden death. I could drop dead and no one would be able to save me. The doctor said I had to reduce my stress, which meant we had to sell our big giant dream house. I needed to retire. I wasn't allowed to fly anymore. The doctor said I could not fly ever again because of my heart condition. We had to move to a lower elevation because of my heart condition. And the bottom line is that with me retiring, we had way too much dependent on my skill set. way too much dependence on my ability. Even though I worked part-time, I had generated a lot of money every single year and every single month. And taking me out of the equation meant everything was going to change dramatically and it wasn't going to be fun. And my husband at that time, I think he was 26 or 27 years old, because he's 47 now. He was 27 years old. And he had the revelation. He goes, I only know how to do one thing. And that is not good. And the one thing that he knew how to do was work with me in a very specific niche market. But he didn't know how to work on his own in that specific market. And the skills that he had were great skills. It generated a lot of money. However, it was still the only one skill that he had. And he actually didn't even like working in the industry that we were a part of. He didn't like any part. The only thing he liked about the business was that it made us a lot of money, and that was it. He couldn't stand everything else about it. And so he took it upon himself at 27 years old that this was the time that he was not going to be caught in a situation ever again, that he, as the father, the husband, the head of the household, that now has a sick wife who may not live to see 32 years old. He might end up with 4 kids without a mother. He's got to close down a business. He didn't know how he was going to survive. And so he swore to himself, never again. I have to learn new skills. And what did he do? He set aside time, and here was my husband's professional plan of action. He had to learn new skills. And he set up a schedule every day where he was learning. And what did he set up to learn? My husband graduated from high school, but he went to a high school in Hawaii that had, well, it's known as like the worst high school in the country. Not much of an education is what he will tell you. He didn't go to college. He started in business with me when he was 18 years old. So all he had ever learned was, the business that I had basically taught him. And so what did he start to do? He started to read programming books. He started to invest into training on learning the internet. He spent $100,000 through several years of learning the internet, learning how to write sales copy. He learned how to build and program websites. He learned how to build a database. He learned how to communicate through email to a database. He learned how to market all through the internet. He has generated tens of thousands of dollars because of a massive crisis that hit our family and him realizing he only had one skill, and that one skill would not be the skill that he was going to be dependent on moving forward, but that he needed to advance his skill, and he knew that the internet was the future. He knew the internet was the future, and so he invested time and money into learning the internet world. Did it pay off? Ridiculously. Tens of millions of dollars has been generated by those skills that my husband had learned. So, a professional's plan of action. You see, the amateur would be like, oh, great. How are we going to handle this? What are we going to do? Nope. His professional plan of action was, okay, I got to lead. I've got to lead by faith. I've got to learn new skills. I've got to set my mind on the future and how we want to live in the future. I don't have time for my heart to be, mad about a doctor or mad about what's going on with my wife or mad at myself because I should have done da-da-da-da-da. No. So he took action in learning new skills immediately, so that within literally 2003 is when he actually started to profit from that. So from 2000 to 2003, not a lot happened. There was a lot of learning. There was a lot of practicing. There was a lot of trial and error. He actually started his own USP at that point. Didn't make a single dime with that one. Tried several things. And then finally in 2003, all those years that he spent in learning, bam. And he tried several side hustles to practice the new things that he was reading and implemented those things. Built a website, built several websites. It wasn't until 3 years later that, bam, one took off and generated millions of dollars. So, bottom line is you need to be prepared because we can see what's coming ahead of us, right? We know that the forecast is not all that great. We also know that there are still buyers. There are still people who are selling. There are still people moving forward with their life. Not everybody is out of a job. Just millions of people are out of a job, but not everybody is, right? So next, how are you going to lead? How are you going to lead in this weather forecast that we are seeing here? That's got to be a conscious thing. Otherwise, you're going to be an amateur. 2, your heart. What's in it? What is leading you with it? What's the condition of your heart? Blame, victim of circumstances, bringing stuff from your past into the current. What about your mind? What's your mind set on? Is it set on fear? Is it set on worry? Is it set on insecurity? Is it set on what you can't do? Is it set on what you won't do? Is it set on what hasn't happened before? And then again, what actions are you taking? What routines are you setting? You have certain routines that might need to be shoved aside, and you might need to find some new routines. You don't go, okay, I got to Google a new routine. No, you establish a routine. You decide what time you get up. You decide what you do when you first get up. So if the first thing you do when you get up is you check social media, you might want to change that routine into something else. Maybe reach for your Bible. Maybe reach for the book of Proverbs that is actually powerful with leading you with wisdom. Maybe press play on some messaging that gets your goat and keeps you on track and holds your butt accountable. Maybe it is that you check in with somebody. Maybe it's prayer. Maybe that first thing you do is fall at the floor and land on your knees with your face on the floor and you're like, God, help me today. Maybe that's the routine. You're the one in charge of your routines, and your routines are going to produce results. So you set it up. Like, for example, a simple routine that you could be setting up right now is every other Thursday, for example, get a month calendar and go every other Thursday at 7 p.m. Central, I have an appointment one-on-one with Dani Johnson. She's going to get under my skin and challenge me on some things, as I hope that today has been challenging to you. Okay. It could be that every single day, in fact, right below on this video player, you're going to see a blue bar that talks about the LIFEMAP. The LIFEMAP. Maybe it is that every day you're going to start your day, you and I together, one-on-one. We've got some learning to do together. And every day you're pressing play. I'm in your face. I'm with you. I'm challenging you, giving you some directions, some skills, some methods that we use to make a tremendous amount of money in every economy. Okay, when things are down everywhere else, we've done well. And so we want to show you how to actually do that. So we're inside that LIFEMAP. If it's every day, it's a new routine. You and I are starting our day together at a such and such time. It's bam, this is what I'm doing. I'm listening and I'm applying. I'm listening and I'm applying. I'm taking action and what she tells me to take action with today. So there you go. Like, that can be starting a brand new routine. Okay, so you can have it set up in your calendar, Monday through, let's say, Sunday through Friday. Sunday through Friday, 6 days a week, you and I are together, okay? You and I are together 6 days a week. That could be a new routine. It's going to get some kind of a result. Maybe the new routine is that you're going to replace the time of watching television with picking up a book instead. Maybe the book that you pick up is True Wealth Formula, where my husband shows you how he managed our finances and shows some of the places where we really screwed up, and he shows you how to do it. Or maybe there's a book that you'll read about, okay, I want to make sure I set my kids up to succeed. Great, get a hold of Grooming the Next Generation for Success. If you're wanting to reduce some stress in your house, you're wanting to direct your kids to prepare them for the future, Grooming the Next Generation for Success. It's audios, it's videos, and there's a book. Maybe that's where you start, okay? Maybe it is one of the things that you're saying, okay, I don't want to just live my financial life like an amateur anymore. I want to become financially independent. Well, inside your LIFEMAP, there's an entire session, several sessions, it's basically like a university course, if you will. There's several classes about money itself. How to make it, what to do with it, what not to do with it, how do I start moving myself in the right direction financially. Well, if you want to become financially independent, stop asking your neighbor or some YouTuber about how to do it. You need to learn from someone who has the results of financial independence themselves, not to mention, but have developed other clients who are financially independent too. So those are results. That's who you want to be learning from. And if you can't stand me, find someone else that has results, but make sure they have results, not some YouTuber doing some free video that, they read it in some book somewhere. So what I'm saying is that rather than TV, you're maybe watching a video like this, or you're reading a book that's helping you gain new skills, right? To help you gain new skills. The professional is going to learn new skills. The amateur is going to watch mindless entertainment. You pick what you want to do. You pick what you want to do. You pick the results that you want. Because here's the bottom line, that the plan of an amateur is going to end up with what? Yeah, not being able to buy a house and you're 50 years old. Not being able, being riddled with debt your entire freaking adult life. That's the amateur's plan of action. You don't want that, man. That's not for you. You're like, Dani, but I'm 70. This is not for you. You can start today on a professional's plan of action. Starting some new routines that are going to get new results, and you'll start living the life that you want. Also below this video player, you're going to see a bar that talks about first steps to success. I want to invite you, because it's coming up here very quickly. I want to invite you to click that bar and say yes to a brand new future. I'm going to spend 3 days with you. I'm going to give 3 days of my time directly into your home. It's you and me, 3 days live together. We'll be interconnected throughout the globe with other people, but in all reality, it's you and it's me. And for 3 days, I'm going to give you my professional plan of action. I'm going to show you, yes, how do you change the way you're leading? How do I deal with the crap that's inside my heart that I'm bringing to work every day and that I have in my home every day? This crap that's inside my heart that is just not healthy around those that are around me, not helping me lead well. We're going to deal with that together, you and me. I've had to deal with all kinds of what was in my heart. Come on, I told you what my past was. It was a disgusting mess. That's what I brought into my marriage. That's what I brought into business. That's what I brought into my life as a parent, and it was a mess. I had to work through that stuff, and you and I are going to work through that stuff actually Friday night, July 24th. Then starting on Saturday, we're going to begin working not only Friday night, we'll deal with your heart stuff. We'll also deal with your mind stuff. Get this stuff cleared out. And now we'll start on Saturday, start to rebuild new skill sets in the places that your heart and your mind completely robbed you. The places that your heart and your mind stopped you from succeeding. The things that literally held you back and held you as a hostage and you didn't even know it. You're going to discover what those things are. I'm going to show you exactly the skill set. I'm moving past it. Starting Saturday morning, July 25th, you're going to learn a brand new plan, new skill sets, new communication skills, new action things to take action on. That is going to bring, you're going to reduce your stress. It's going to bring more love into your house, more peace into your house, more fulfillment into your house and at work. You're also going to have a solid financial plan. You're going to actually learn how to increase your income. You're going to learn where money actually comes from and how to get more of it. You're also going to learn when you get more of it, what do I do with it? What do I not do with it? You're going to learn how to solve problems at work with other people. You're going to learn how to motivate yourself and learn how to motivate the others that are in your house and the others that are at work. You're going to learn how to increase your value at work. You're going to increase your value at work so much so that you'll be highly more desirable than those that you are currently working with. Not to mention that you will learn how to make a difference and call out the greatness that is in others that are around you. You're also going to learn why some people drive you absolutely crazy and how to flip that around into now that person that normally drives you crazy, you actually become very close with and are able to work with and get a lot more done. You're going to learn how to save time instead of wasting time. So you're going to end up with my professional plan of action. And here it's coming up in just a few days. So July 24th, 25th, and 26th, first steps to success, I'm coming straight into your home or straight into your office, wherever it is that is the most comfortable for you to begin rolling up your sleeves, and you and I are going to work hard together to get you on a thriving, solid plan with simple methods, new skill sets, strategies that are so simple a child can implement them, and you'll just go, this is easy, I got this. You're going to be a different person, just as we have seen hundreds of thousands of other people who have used this training to do the same thing, to radically transform their life into being the life they wanted to live right now versus living a life they didn't want to live. So that's what you're going to learn how to do, okay? So if you want to make more money, you want to have more fun, you want to have more fulfilling relationships, you want to move past your stupid insecurities that are there, whether you know they are or not, and you want to live in real freedom, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, and financially, click that bar, First Steps to Success. Join me there. I can't wait to see you. No matter what I say, there's 3 types of people. First type person, one that says, Dani, that's me. I'm going all the way. Congratulations, welcome aboard. You're gonna click everything that is below this video player, and I'm excited for you and I to link arms together and to get to work on you building the life that other people wished they had. The second type person is the one that thinks, to contemplate, to reevaluate, to consider, to talk to the dog spot, and the newspaper that doesn't exist anymore to determine whether or not they're making the right decision. Friend, you've been thinking for a long time, and your thinking has gotten you to where you're at right now. Your bank balance is where it's at right now because you've done too much thinking and not enough taking action. The quality of your relationships right now are where they're at because you have done too much thinking and not enough of taking the right actions. Click all 3 links below now. Click the links right now. Stop thinking. Your thinking has brought you where you're at. If you want to go to a better, bigger place, click the link. Everything we have is 100% money back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Nothing to lose but the things you don't like in your life. Click it. Third type person is the one that says, this isn't for me. I'm so glad that you are here. I know that you got something. If you've actually watched this video to this point, I know you found something that was helpful and beneficial to you, even if you won't admit it. Well, there's lots of other free content that I'm going to bring you here 2 weeks from today. And there is other free content that's on the website, DaniJohnson.com, that you can take advantage of immediately. This is our gift to you. Use it, apply it, get some results, because your life is worth it. Your family is worth it. Your future is worth it. To make sure you don't stay the same and don't make the same mistakes that others are around you have made, but instead you live a life that is something that causes others to get inspired to say, I want to live a better life. So if you're number 1, I'm so excited. If you're number 2, I hope you made the right decision by clicking the links and you became a number 1 versus becoming a number 3 who's going to do nothing. So that's it. God bless you. Thanks so much. I'm Dani from DaniJohnson.com. Good night.